Hello, future people. Welcome to Getting Tabled. I'm Jason the Bruce, and today we're going to finally have a look at the Verminlord. So, this is a kit that I purchased quite some time ago, and I have mentioned that I've purchased this quite some time ago, quite a few times. But why am I finally having a look at it now? Well, it was something I've been putting off because I went through quite a lot of Skaven for quite a while and kind of burnt myself out on them to some extent. Don't get me wrong, I love Skaven. Skaven are awesome. But because that's the only thing I focused on for so long, I wanted to look at a few other things before I came back to them. And a recent part of a project that I just finished kind of left me itching to do something else big. And every time I see this on my shelf, I'm kind of like, I really need to get to that. Yeah, this is a kit that can build one of 5 different lords. First and foremost, I really don't know which version I want to build yet. I'm tempted to do the proper Verminlord himself. And then just, I don't know. Lord Screech the Vermin King. If I do the Vermin King, here's the thing. With kits like this, obviously the idea that Games Workshop has is that, well, you're going to have to buy all 5 because you don't know which one you want to use. My theory is I'm just going to build the one that I think looks the coolest. And ultimately, I'm just going to count as, because if I'm going to play Age of Sigmar, I'm going to be playing it with people that aren't going to mind. And ultimately, there's a lot of this kit that you could actually magnetize. I'm not aiming to magnetize this, and this is not what this video is. This will just be an unboxing. But at the end of the day, it's just, yeah. This video is having a look at the parts, seeing what we can do, and we will see if I make a decision by the end of the video. At this stage, I'm probably building Lord Screech. It's either going to be Lord Screech or the Vermin's here. I don't know. Getting Tabled has announced their very first giveaway. This Shaltari fleet was purchased with my own money for this express purpose. In order to enter the competition, you need to join us on Patreon. For every month of support, which is only $2 a month, you gain 1 entry into the competition between now and the recording on April 2nd, 2023, which is the 4-year anniversary of our podcast. You will get the Shaltari Dreadnought, the Shaltari Starter Fleet, the Shaltari Frigate Box, and the Shaltari Cruiser Box. This will all go out to one person. We will be covering it. Please understand that in order to enter the competition, you cannot live in a country where it's illegal to win prizes. There are countries out there that fall under this banner, and it's not something that we can control. This has all been purchased with my own money. None of this is funded. None of this is sponsored. I have purchased all of this with the express purpose of thanking one particular person that supports us on Patreon. That person will be drawn at random on the recording that we do on April 2nd, 2023. If you join us on Patreon, one of the things that you can do is listen to our recordings live as they're done through the Discord. Please consider supporting us. It's only $2 a month. We would really, really appreciate your time. All right, so first things first, looking at the actual artwork on the box, you have the Verminlord Corruptor on the front. I find it interesting that this is the one that they decided to put on the front, only because, and I'll flip around to the back to see this. Of all of them, I don't really understand why Lord Screech wouldn't be the one that's on the front. I mean, he is the one that sits on the council, right? So why would he not be the one that's there? I don't know. I just find that a little bit odd. You see here a few of your building options. Like I said, like there is legitimate ways that you can actually magnetize this. This will not be a video on that. There are videos on YouTube for that already. If you do a search for Verminlord magnetize, you will see them. If you have trouble finding them, let me know, and I will give you links in the comments. But this is the guy I'm leaning towards right now. My paint scheme will probably change a little bit, but if I'm going to build one, it makes sense to me that I build Lord Screech because he's the big guy. And then, look, if I want to end up using someone else, realistically, I don't really think people are going to mind if I count as something else. It's very clearly a Verminlord. It doesn't really matter. I mean, in a tournament sense, obviously it might be a bit of a problem, but I'm not entering tournaments. That's not my goal. The other thing with this kit is obviously everybody has at least parts of their own head. So I might actually try and build up at least one of the other heads if possible. And maybe paint one up to be like a bit of a bust. That could be fun. We'll have to see if that's actually possible. First things first, quite a sizable base, but you would expect that. Secondly, that's disappointing. My instructions are ruined. It's not that big of a deal, but... See, on the instructions, look, the Vermin King comes first. I mean, it doesn't matter. I find it odd, because normally with these sort of boxes, normally it's the big main character that's on the front, and your alternate builds are on the back. But they've done it backwards on this one. It just seems like a very weird choice. Although I suppose, because the Corruptor is the one that goes with the Plague Monks, I think, from memory. And they were the big thing at the time. So maybe that's why he was on the front. Maybe it was because this has obviously changed a bit since this was released. This is an older kit too, so it's going to be interesting to see what these instructions are like. Looks fairly clear so far. So we're back in our black and white days, which was not the best of days. I don't see anything too bad at this stage. Actually, hang on. Okay, so let's start at the start. So 1. Continuing with 1. Continuing with 1. And we get to this point. And then we get into our options. Okay. No point looking at these instructions because there's no point looking at this really because this is old information. And so then we'll have our Verminlord warps here and his individual parts. And his instructions. Then we go into the Warbringer. In his information. And now we appear to be coming into a piece that's slightly different. So, because these guys don't have... So this is for both the Deceiver and the Corruptor. Because they have the terrain that they stand on instead of standing on that giant stave. Which, ironically, I actually think I prefer the look of this. But the one I want to build has the giant staff, so... So that's the Deceiver. So he's the one that go with the gutter runners and stuff. And then this is the one that's on the front of the box. So the instructions on this, at least at first glance, don't actually appear to be too bad. I don't notice any really obvious mistakes at this point. I don't know if there are any, but I haven't really noticed anything that stood out. So that's good. All right, and having a look here. So starting off with a weapon. So this is what some of them are standing on. And it is the same weapon each time. I think that you could customize this a little bit if you wanted to. I mean, if you used a bit of green stuff and you wanted to cut off those runes and then fill it in a little bit, you could make it look cleaner, like as if the entire thing was warpstone rather than it having warpstone inserted into it. Personally, I don't think you will, because I think this actually looks nice by itself. I think this tail is the same on all of them. I really like this weapon, honestly. Like, this is a really, really pretty weapon. And it's huge. I mean, I don't have small hands. I mean, I've seen bigger hands, but, like, I don't have small hands. This thing is the length of my entire... It's longer than my entire hand. Nice fur detail. Very similar to Bone Ripper, as in Thanquil and Bone Ripper. Possibly even a bit nicer than Bone Ripper, honestly. Now, I do have Bone Ripper. That has been shown off on the channel. If you'd like to find my video where I finally showed off my Skaven army that I had been painting. This is going to be painted up in a very similar manner. Probably a little bit extra detail that'll go into it. The kit is just beautiful, though. I think there's enough variation in this kit, too, that if you wanted to just kind of do your own thing, you probably could. Like, just kind of building a combination of all of them. But it comes down to you as to what you want yours to look like, I guess. And the thing that surprises me is that this is only on 2 sprues. I mean, they are very large sprues. Well, they're decent-sized sprues, but this doesn't build a small model. The fact that they're getting all of this out of one kit, out of 2 sprues, is amazing to me. So here we have parts of the heads. Going to be curious to know... I don't know if you can actually build multiple heads at the same time. I really like this mask in particular. That would be really fun to paint up so that this is actually like the mask and the crown itself is perhaps a warpstone crown. That would be kind of fun. I think that's my favourite weapon of all of them, because it's just a giant shuriken. What's not to love about that? Shuriken, whichever pronunciation is correct. Working the small little bits of armor in here and there. Kind of like a giant Wolverine claw. Although there's only 2 blades on this one. It's just a really pretty kit. They've done really, really well here. People tend to get upset when they think back about the end times and what it did to fantasy at the time. But the end times came with some of the best kits that Games Workshop have ever done. Like, as much as I understand why there's people that's upset about the fact that that game went, it really was a celebration of the lore at the time as well. I mean, this was obviously the big one for the Skaven. Well, this and Bone Ripper. But, I mean, the Undead got all those giant horse dudes. You got the new Nagash, which is still one of the best models they've ever done. I think that Nagash model will always be something that tempts me. The only one personally that I don't like is the giant chaos dragon looking thing. That's just a horrible abomination of a model. Archaon, is that it? I don't remember. That's kind of cool too. They are both very cool. So there we go. That's the unboxing of the Skaven Verminlord. This is a kit that I've wanted to build for quite some time. I brought this quite some time ago. Like, I'm not just saying that. I've had this ready to go for a while. But it was something I wanted to wait for because I wanted to do Thrankel and Bone Ripper first. And then once I'd done that and all of the stuff to go with them, I kind of burnt myself out on Skaven for a while. So I wanted to put it aside and leave it until I had the passion to do it. This is something I'm probably going to be doing at some point in December. I don't know exactly when that will be. I'm still not 100% sure what I'm going to build. I'm probably going to build the Vermin King. The thing I'm not 100% sure is whether you can build multiple heads or not. It looks like you probably can, but I will have to report back to you on that. I'm not 100% certain. But for now, at least, this is a beautiful kit, especially if you're a Skaven player. Honestly, not everything about the end times was bad. You've made it through to the end of another video. Your next mission is to hit subscribe and comment down below. If you'd like to reach out to the team, consider doing that, gettingtabled@gmail.com. Consider subscribing to our Patreon. For only $2 a month, you get early access to almost every single video that we do. Our most active social media is facebook.com/gettingtabled. It's where you'll find everything first. There's also a Discord. There's an invite on screen right now. If you type that in, it'll give you instant access. If you're on Twitter or Instagram, you can find us at gettingtabled. It's not the most active, but it's something we're trying to use more all the time. Come and check out Jason the Bruce at Twitch. He does both video game and hobby content. And of course, without question, play more games.